listen to their arguments. Okay, on that day, I can tell you in Parliament, the IQ level on one side of the aisle was a hell of a lot higher than the other, okay? Hell of a lot, because they couldn't answer the arguments that were put forward. Now, they say things like, now these are their arguments. One, the word emergency doesn't appear. Tak ada, mana darurat dalam legislasi, tak ada. Mana perkataan darurat, tak ada. Does that help them? They don't need to use the word darurat. It is in effect an emergency. You see, they think they're being very clever by not using the word, and therefore no one can say that they're taking away the powers of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. But in effect it is emergency, because the laws are suspended. The constitution is suspended. That only happens in an emergency. So don't be fooled by that argument. Don't be fooled by the other argument, which is, I think one of the ministers said, bomb in KL, then only everybody will react. Don't ever. Yeah, that is a highly irresponsible statement by a minister. Okay? He says there's a bomb and that's why you need NSC. So because there may be a bomb in KL, you give one man power over everything? Does it justify that? And let me tell you, I've done my sweep and quick research around the globe. In all the democratic nations, nobody has a legislation like this. The national security councils that they have are advisory in nature. In no country that I have found so far, I stand corrected if anybody can find for me, nowhere does it give the power to one man to decide the fate of this nation. He can decide there are no elections tomorrow. By the way, you're talking about 14 GE. I would get rid of this first, because I'm not sure we'll have a 14 GE if you have this. Okay? So I'm telling you, as I say, I'm telling you of all the legislation, of all the things that have happened, including the 2.6 billion and the invisible man that MACC has interviewed. This worries me far more. This really worries me far more. And I think we have to put a stop to it. So for me, actually, there's no option. There's no option of waiting for this to pass. And in fact, well done to Amana for doing a roadshow. I think it's important for people on the ground. By the way, you spoke very well on that day, and I was there for the debate. But you know, all those arguments that you put forward, they couldn't answer. They just couldn't answer. Now, what I want to know is, if countries like the UK and the US, who face far greater security threats than we do, don't have such an extreme legislation like this, why do we need it? Why do we need it when there's already legislation? That's why I get angry when people like ministers say, if there's a bomb, then you will think differently. So, giving the Prime Minister all power will stop a bomb falling on KL? Seriously? You don't need to do it that way. We already have enough legislation. And you see, they try to put the argument that we're not interested in security. How dare they? How dare they say that we are not interested in security? How can we not be interested in security? Every single one of us is interested in security and concerned about security. This is not about security, as I've said. This is about power. This is about raw, absolute power. Okay? And make no mistake about that. So all their arguments can be countered. And I'm hoping, actually, by seeing the Senate, and you all have to put pressure. Ordinary people have to put pressure and try and stop this being passed at all. Now, finally, I will say, I don't think there's any effect on TVPA, by the way. I don't think they will care what happens in this country anyway. So I don't see any effect, really. I think my own view is actually, we have been far too patient with this government. Malaysians, I can't believe how much we're prepared to take. We're prepared to, now they're taking everything away from us, okay, with this legislation. Everything that is there to protect our dignity and our rights. Now they are prepared to take it away with one fell swoop. And our parliamentarians have allowed it to happen. They should have put a stop to this. They should have said, no, I think we better think about this. They could have done it, but they refused to do it, despite the fact that we begged them. Sorry? God knows. I think actually many of them didn't appreciate the effect of the bill. Do you agree with me, Hanipa? I'm not sure whether you agree with me. I don't know whether they read it actually.
That applies to most bills.
That applies to most bills. But there you are. So finally I would say, please, I think this is a point of enough is enough. We really have to put a stop to this. Thanks.